Well, happy Tuesday, everybody. Happy Tuesday. And thank you so much for tuning into another special edition here of the Jazzy Report for Political Chit Chat. So it's going to be an amazing evening. So I want to take an opportunity to welcome all of you to the broadcast, but also give you an opportunity to share the broadcast. We're going to be sharing some information tonight that I think many of you will be interested to hear. But you'll also be able to share some of the information. So I almost said happy Monday with the holiday that just occurred on yesterday for Labor Day. So I hope many of you that had an opportunity to hopefully take the day off and not do much labor on Labor Day, that you actually had an opportunity to spend some time not only with family, maybe friends. I'm sure some of you guys cooked out, but just thinking about just the whole idea of Labor Day, just celebrating really the contributions and paying tributes to the contribution of American workers, and thinking that, back in the 19th century, I don't know, does anybody know like what year that Labor Day actually became an actual holiday? Not too long ago, but it really was a long time. 1894. Wow. And we're in 2020. So just think about 1894, Labor Day, the first Monday in September, became a federal holiday. So again, happy post-Labor Day, but again, happy Tuesday for all of you that have taken an opportunity to join us tonight for Political Chit Chat. Just another episode of the Jazz Report. We're going to take an opportunity at this time, though, to bring around one of our featured guests. And this is something that we're going to be featuring throughout this whole political season of campaigning folks that will be coming across the broadcast, that we're going to meet candidates. So if you or anyone you know is actually running for political office or looking to have a platform where they can share their vision of what they would like to do for the people, connect them with us right here at the Jazz Report, because we want to hear and learn of who they are and what they intend to do for us, right? Well, our very first guest tonight is none other than Mr. Stephen Dreyfus. And one thing in particular about Mr. Dreyfus is I actually had an opportunity to meet him right here at my home. That's right. He was actually out canvassing, knocking on doors, so it was just an opportunity to hear the passion behind his vision of what he wants to do and how he expects to bring about change right here in the upstate of South Carolina. So I tell you, it is an opportunity that for those of you that are watching, as we learn of these various candidates that will join us from time to time throughout the Political Chit Chat, send them our way. Let them know about the Jazz Report, because I'm telling you, there's people that will tune in. There are people that will be engaged. But most importantly, we want to educate them and help them to understand the person's why. One thing about Mr. Dreyfus, as I'm looking at his brochure, that really he even created himself. I mean, he is all in for what he's doing. His brief bio is that his parents were passionate about politics. His mom was a liberal Democrat and his dad was a loyal Republican. I don't know if there's many households nowadays where you have the house divided as such. Most times people roll as a team, but he grew up hearing about both sides. And so he strove to link independently, agreeing with whichever idea made the most sense. He moved to Greenville when he was 10 years old. He's lived in South Carolina for over 50 years. In college, he switched from majors from political science to psychology. He is running as a Democrat. There's so much more I could say about this gentleman. But ladies and gentlemen, help me to welcome for Meet the Candidate, Mr. Stephen Dreyfus. Mr. Dreyfus, how are you this evening?
I'm fine. That was such a great introduction. I'm not sure how I can follow it up with anything better.
Well, listen, I mean, you and I actually had an interaction of meeting because you were out canvassing the area, knocking on doors, something that is not often seen. I mean, I've been around a while. I mean, I'm 45 years old. I've been registered to vote for some time now, and I don't think ever I've had a candidate to actually knock on my door and I was able to meet them face to face personally. So I want to commend you for the effort that you're putting out, that people are getting to learn about who you are as a person, but also getting to learn a little bit more and have a clear vision of what it is that you're so passionately want to do for the people. So I want to give you an opportunity for this segment of Political Chit Chat to just talk about you running again for South Carolina House Seat 20 and your vision tonight.
Thank you very much. One reason I'm going door to door is that's an advantage when you're running for a position on the South Carolina State House as a representative. When I was going around, I saw brochures by another candidate running for Congress, and that's just so many doors. You can't get to everybody that way. This is a very unusual election. I was hoping when I was decided to canvass that I'd be able to go over to people's doors, shake their hands, meet them face to face. But we're in the middle of a deadly epidemic. And I think it's important to mention that because we need to put that in perspective. The United States right now has one of the worst records for dealing with COVID-19 of any other country, at least any other civilized country. And guess which state is down at the bottom with the worst record in the states of the United States? And that's South Carolina with about a half a dozen other states. So going door to door, I will put the brochure on the door. I'll ring the doorbell. I'll retreat 10 to 12 feet. I wear a face shield. So I am protecting them, but I'm trying to give the voters an opportunity to see who I am. We're not going to meetings. We're not doing debates. They're not public gatherings. And so campaigning has to be very different. And I'm very indebted to you because it's platforms like this where voters have an opportunity to meet candidates.
Absolutely. And so, you know, one thing that you even shared is that you had a goal of 5,000 brochures. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of hitting the pavement. It's a lot of elbow grease getting out there to let people know about your vision. And when I was looking at your brochure, you said that the focus on 7 issues: education, agriculture, climate, gun safety, democracy, infrastructure, and daylight savings. So real quick, just want to kind of give you an opportunity to talk about those issues there.
By the way, I've had to reevaluate that goal of distributing 5,000 brochures. It's now 10,000 because we've already given out 5,000.
Oh, wow.
And so I've ordered more today. And unfortunately, it'll take a week to come in, but we'll have about 120 signs we'll put up. And I'm also going to put up another billboard. My background is psychology. I used to be a psychology professor, and before that, I was a therapist. And I know that familiarity and name recognition and all these things are important. But I love your question because some people told me, just send a brochure, nice photo, good slogan. People don't want to read where you stand on the issues. And as a college professor, I know people don't always read everything they're supposed to read, but I want to at least offer that because to me, I'm passionate about issues or have never run for office. So I'd like to take some time and go through these issues that I can. And please feel free to interrupt me at any time. Someone once said, "Do you mind if I interrupt?" And I said, "You have to. You won't get a word in edgewise if you don't." But I welcome questions and comments at any time. And that's the way when I was a college professor, I like to do the class. Because if I talk too long without interruption, I put people to sleep. And that's the last thing I want to do. I'm going to start with the last one and then go back and do it. Because people ask me, why did you put daylight savings time? One, it's a nonpartisan issue. Republicans are for that. And it's such a simple idea. Keep daylight savings time year-round, never changing the clocks. You don't have to spring forward. You don't have to leap backwards. As a psychologist, I know every time we switch the clocks, we're trying to fool Mother Nature. We're violating the way we are designed biologically and psychologically. And it's like mandatory jet lag for the entire population. People don't know that people actually die when they move the clocks from getting dark at 6 to getting dark at 5 because they can't see as well at night. We're used to gradual changes, and we can't take the daylight in the summertime and use it in the winter. All we're doing is messing around with our biological clocks. The only disadvantage of doing that is South Carolina would be the first state other than Arizona to do that. But I believe that South Carolina should take the lead on many issues and not follow from behind. If we do it, then Georgia will do it, then North Carolina will do it, and eventually the rest of the country will do it, and we'll all sleep better and have more rest.
I hear you. Well, there's so many issues of things that I know that you could cover when it talks about your vision of what you want to do. I mean, introducing yourself to someone who doesn't know who Stephen Dreyfus is, how do they define you? How do you define yourself as a man? How would you want someone to know you are a man of your word as far as what you want to do for the South Carolina House 20?
Well, you mentioned twice a vision, and my motto or slogan is 2020 vision. I chose that because I used to work as an optician, and I've always needed glasses, and only with glasses do I have 2020 vision. But 2020 vision basically means being able to see far off. I think the important role of government today is to make sure that the future of our state and the future of our country and the future of Greenville is aimed for the next generation. In other words, not just fixing things for today, which is important, but fixing things for the future, investing our money in such things as schools and infrastructure, which doesn't just benefit people today, but produces benefits and dividends down the road. Secondly, 2020, because I'm running in 1920, this is year, I'm also in this year 2020, plus I'm running in District 20. So you'll see bumper stickers that say Dreyfus 20. My button says Dreyfus 2020. But the whole idea of 2020 vision is looking toward the future, so our tomorrow is better than today, no matter how bad things are today.
Well, I tell you what, I was really impressed just to know that you really put in the work to take the opportunity. So what has it been like for you knocking on the doors? I mean, how has the response been of folks, maybe welcoming you to give your spiel of who you are and what you intend to do?
Well, first of all, I want to say most everybody is as nice as they can be. I went to one house. I was a mile away from my car. They could tell it was like 90-degree temperature. They could tell I was thirsty. They invited me to have any drink I wanted out of their refrigerator they had in the garage. I could get bottled water. I could get Gatorade. I could get sodas. And I walked in the garage and I look around and I see Clemson paraphernalia. Now, I graduated from USC. Now, we may not have had a recent national championship, but you got to be loyal to your team. And I said, I think we're on different teams. And in the back of my mind, I was worried we may be on different political teams. And so she picked up on the cue and she said, "Are you a Democrat or a Republican?" I said, "I'm a Democrat." And she said, "Oh, dear. I just don't think I could bring myself to vote for Biden. A lot of people don't like Trump, but he's done some good things." I didn't say anything, but you could see my facial expression. She said, "I could tell you'd probably beg to differ." And I think we have to realize that by and large, in spite of things we may see on the nightly news or on the internet, most everybody, regardless of political party, is like a family in South Carolina. We're polite, we're concerned about each other. I've had people be very rude, but I even wrote an article called Canvassing in Carolina, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the just plain weird. I'm also a writer. I write for dailycoast.com. Wonderful articles every day in Daily Coast. And so far, I've contributed about 120 political articles over the past couple of years. So I have been very involved in politics for a long time before I decided to run.
All right. Well, I tell you what, there's so much more I'm sure you could share. I wanted to take an opportunity to be able to spotlight you tonight as one of our featured guests for Meet the Candidate during this political chit chat. So again, for someone that maybe want to connect with you and find out more about your campaign, maybe how they can donate, maybe they want to, assist you in some way to be able to get the word about who Mr. Stephen Dreyfus is, how can they reach out to you?
It's very simple. I have a campaign webpage, which has contact information. It's www.stephendreyfus.com. And then you go right to my webpage. One thing you said before I'd like to comment about, and this is something I think is very important. I don't know what the word is. I am so frustrated, embittered, that there's so little honesty right now in politics. I want to bring back honesty, integrity, and moral intelligence into politics. I am by no means the first honest politician. I've read books of many other people who never compromised their principles when they ran for office, always tried and strove to do the right thing, put their country before party, put the interest of the voters before their own career. There's so many wonderful models. And to get that, we just need two things. We need candidates who are honest and have integrity to step forward, be willing to run, and not say, well, I don't want to get involved in the dirty game of politics. It won't be a dirty game if we have good people doing it. And secondly, we have to be willing to vote for those. One of the more disappointing things that happen going door to door is someone will ask me, are you a Democrat or Republican? And I'll tell the truth. I'll say I'm a Democrat. They'll hand back the brochure, won't even look at it, won't even be willing to see what the other side has to say, to see if there's anything they agree with. Absolutely. If I have those good values, I can blame my parents and grandparents for drumming them in me. Now, my dad, you mentioned, was a Republican. But when my mom ran for office for House Seat 22 in 1974, that's way back when Jimmy Carter got elected, she got in on his coattails with my father's full emotional and financial support. And to his dying day, bragged, your mom's the only Democrat I ever voted for. Wow. And there were two reasons for that. One, he was no fool. It wouldn't be fun living with my mom if he didn't vote for her, but also because she was a person of honesty, integrity, and moral intelligence, and he put the candidate over the politics. I hope others do the same.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I appreciate your time. Be sure to stick around. We're going to bring you back in just a little bit to give some final words of encouragement. But again, ladies and gentlemen, our featured Meet the Candidate for South Carolina House Seat 20, Mr. Stephen Dreyfus. Be sure to let him know that you found out about him right here on the Jazzy Report. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
We are present. We are present. We are here. Just like we're in school and the teacher takes a roll, the teacher would call our names and we would respond by saying, here, to let everyone know we are present. And at this present moment, there's an attendance that needs some attention. It's where America gets measured, and these measurements allow us to make it work, make it happen, make it count. And it's done by counting everyone, whether big or small, from the young to the well-seasoned. We are the reason, and it starts with us. Every one of us matters so much because there's power in numbers. And much is to be made with these numbers. This algebra of acquiring information, calculating this power to offer everyone better housing, better health care, better education, better roads that make a path for us to shape our future. Where the broken hearts are hopeful minds, we can combine to count on this tune of togetherness. Even if one piano key is not counted, the song is a broken part. But if we all are present, we can all sing on key to make a melody that allow us to make it work, make it happen, make it count. It's done by counting everyone, and every person counts. because we are present. We are here.
Yeah, so be sure to, if you've not done so already, to complete your Census 2020, that everyone in your household, from the infants to those of us that are not so elderly to the elderly, is actually counted. Listen, everyone should be counted for Census 2020 because there are billions of dollars that can be dumped back into your communities that could really be effective for use. And I tell you, if you're not counted, they don't know where to send the money. And for those of you that are here in the upstate and surrounding areas, I want our county to get all the money that's due us. And so we're depending on you. Your neighbors are depending on you. Your city is depending on you. The county is depending on you. The state is depending on you. So again, thank you guys so much for tuning to another exciting episode of Political Chit Chat right here on the Jazzy Report. And I'm so excited about our next featured guest because what an honor it is tonight to really be able to talk about the honor of being a South Carolina delegate for the Democratic National Convention. Ladies and gentlemen, the bio runs long, but let me go ahead and just bring on my good friend right now, Councilman Ennis Fant. I tell you, I want to take an opportunity just to honor him tonight, to thank him for his time and really the tireless work that you do for District 25, the county, the city, the community, the churches, the people, for all that you do. Kudos to you. There's so much more I could say concerning you just reading a bio, but I don't want to belabor the time. I really want to just jump right in and first of all say congratulations to you. Man, what an honor it is that you were honored to be chosen as a South Carolina delegate for this year's Democratic National Convention. And I want you to be able to kind of share your thoughts about that, the fact that you were chosen, what that really means, help someone to really understand the level of honor that is for someone like yourself to be able to do that. Mr. Fant, you there?
Okay. Well,
all right.
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah, first of all, let me thank you for inviting me and extending the opportunity to come on and share. And yes, I mean, it was an honor to be selected as a delegate to the Democratic National Convention. To be totally honest, every 4 years I put my name down at the Greenville County Democratic Convention that I want to be a delegate, and something happens between Greenville and Columbia and I never get there. So I figured it'd just be the same thing again this year. So I put my name down and just basically put it in the back of my mind and figured I wouldn't win. I never get selected. So I just said that was it. And then they called and said, congratulations. Congratulations for what? You're a delegate to the convention. I was like, oh, really? So actually I was surprised. So I guess I should have put it in the back of my mind a long time ago. Maybe I got elected before now, but it was a great opportunity, tremendous experience. They gave us, it was virtual. So they gave us all these gift bags, little trinket, little toys and little stuffed animals, little donkeys and all kinds of stuff that you would have gotten if you went. And you have all these snacks that you can eat on every night. So we would start about 7:00 each night. Of course, I was a part of the Southern delegation. So it was Democrats from Virginia all the way down, all the way across to Texas. So we go out into breakout sessions each night, meeting with different Democrats in different states, talking about issues that are important to Democrats. The racial injustice that's going on in America, gun violence, things that are important to Democrats across the country. It afforded me the opportunity to meet governors, lieutenant governors, state attorney generals, state senators, legislators from across the country that I otherwise would not have had an opportunity to meet. And then, of course, what we would do is watch the convention, even though when it would go on TV at 9, we would still live stream it. And then when the TV would go to commercial, we would go into our little breakout sessions and talk about what we've heard so far and how we can mobilize our local community and get more Democrats involved and have a strong turnout November 3rd. So all in all, it was a great experience. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And the kids still hating on all the little gifts I got, but it was great. I count it as an honor.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and of course, you had to be delegated amongst your colleagues even for that role. So Again, what a fantastic opportunity for you to just allow your voice to be heard and to represent us as a state. And so, again, thank you for really the tireless work that you do. And even as a councilman here in the upstate, I know there's some updates that maybe you can give us and kind of let us know what's going on there and maybe what we can do and be a part of. So what kind of update? I know you've also been sharing about the numbers of updates of COVID. There's the CARES Act monies that could be available. So I'm just going to give you an opportunity to share whatever updates for those that are tuned in tonight for Political Chit Chat, that they can be in the know and say they found out about it right here on the Jazz Report for Political Chit Chat.
All right. Well, as you know, there is a lot going on in Greenville County. Lord have mercy. I always said when I went there, I was like, okay. And I got this from Roland Martin, who's my frat brother. He says, look, Fant, if you win, don't just be present.
Right.
Have a presence. And I've tried to do that. So nobody can just say he's a member, he's just there. I try to be intricately involved in everything that goes on at the county, from legislation to whatever. I mean, I just open my packet when I get there and vote. So I try to be involved. I try to draft legislation. I try to help Greenville County move from where we are to where we need to be. Of course, county councils tends to be a little older than I am, so it's a struggle. Mm-hmm. A lot of them are real satisfied with Greenville just like it is. And so the argument every week is we have to decide, do we want to live in our grandchildren's Greenville County or do we want to live in our grandparents' Greenville County? Now, if you gave them their choice, they take the grandparents. I don't like the 1950s. Number one, I wasn't living then, but from what I heard about it, it wasn't too good for people to look like us. So I'm not interested. So I'm trying to go in the other direction. Mm-hmm. So that's always a struggle. But right now, we do have the CARES Act funds. You know, we were the only county in South Carolina that got designated funds for COVID-19. And that's specifically because we're the only county in South Carolina that has over 500,000 people. Okay. So we got $91 million and we basically have until end of the year to spend it. And so we started trying to figure out how to spend $91 million. And of course, we took care of a lot of PPE stuff, healthcare issues, money set aside to help parents with daycare who don't have the ability to keep their kids at home and school virtually. But then what we wanted to do, of course, you know, when the PPP money started, minority businesses were not getting money. I mean, it was the big banks were looking out for their existing customers to make sure they got the money so they could keep paying the loans back that they got. So we really stressed, so $75 million of those funds were set aside for small businesses. And what I argued is that out of that 75, I wanted 5 million set aside specifically for minority-owned businesses, period. Because I didn't want anybody to say, well, I didn't know about it. It got past me. I was out of town. So there's 5 million set aside, and a good bit of it is still there for minority businesses that have been affected by the coronavirus pandemic to apply. Just go to greenvillecounty.org and those funds are available.
Wow. Well, that is some really great information because I'm sure there may be some small business owners that are watching right now, or for those of you that are watching and you know a small business owner, let them know about the opportunity of these monies that are still available. So, Mr. Fant, again, we appreciate you sharing that information. What about the COVID update? Any recent updates with the COVID numbers you might could drop on us?
Well, the overall COVID numbers are down. Of course, 29605, 29611, 29617. The White Horse Road corridor of Greenville County still tends to be disproportionately affected. And of course, you know, that section of Greenville County has a large number of Black and brown people, which are affected. One of the things we're doing is we have actually basically gotten a lot of money out through the ad campaign where we encourage, you may have seen the commercial where Butch and I did the commercial where we encourage people to social distance, encourage people to wear masks, encourage people to wash their hands. You know, people wanted a mask ordinance for the county, but keep in mind, there are 10 Republicans on county council. The likelihood of a mask ordinance was totally unlikely. It was 8-4 when it first came up, and it's still 8-4 against it. So, and you can kind of understand that a little bit because 2/3 of Greenville County is very rural. The northern parts of Greenville County, the southern parts of Greenville County are very rural, 265,000 acres of undeveloped land. So it'd be kind of hard to do it countywide. So it was no. Of course, I would have voted for it, but it was like, no, and don't bring it up because, you know, we don't have the votes. But we're getting there. This opportunity, quite honest, Stephanie's given me an opportunity to get to know the Hispanic community in ways I did not know them previously. And we have a lot of them in District 25, but I did not have a relationship with them, quite honestly, before now. And the COVID pandemic gave me an opportunity to get to know them better, get to know their culture. And sadly, they felt as though they don't belong in Greenville. They're not welcome here. And that is not true. And, you know, maybe I should have done a better job of letting them know that they're part of Greenville County and that we do care. And we've gotten to know them. One of the things we found out in the Hispanic community, you rarely find a homeless Hispanic family, ever. If they are homeless or lose their residence, somebody else will take them in. Yeah. So you'll have 2, 3 families, 8, 9, 10 people staying together. But also, most of them, as also in the African-American community, don't have the privilege of being able to work from home. We're frontline workers and have to go to work. So we go to work, even if we get the virus or asymptomatic or even diagnosed, we don't have anywhere to self-quarantine. We're still at home with 8, 9 other people. And so that's why you see these numbers skewed. In particular, in the Hispanic community, they would go to work, they pass the virus on to coworkers and give it to the public. But then we've heightened awareness. People are wearing masks, they're social distancing, both in the Black and brown community. And we are starting to see the numbers come down. So we're happy about that.
Well, I tell you what, there's so much that I know you could cover just to canvas just what you do is your title as a councilman. But again, the fact that we wanted to really bring you on tonight to honor you, most importantly, as far as being the South Carolina delegate for the Democratic National Convention. Like you said, what an honor that was for you, because again, like you said, you had an opportunity to meet and talk to some folks that you probably would not have had otherwise had an opportunity to do so. So what would you say would be one of the takeaways? I mean, the main takeaways that you could really share with those that are watching tonight of the honor that you had as being the delegate for South Carolina?
Well, the honor is we have to participate in the electoral process. To sit here and say, and I'm sure you heard this, I'm not voting, my vote don't count, they're going to do what they want to do anyway. Oh my God, that just makes my blood run the absolute wrong way, backwards. We live in a nation right now under a president where we have the highest level of racial unrest since we've had since 1968. We have the biggest deficit as a percentage of tax revenue that we've had since World War II. And we have the largest health pandemic since 1918. And for somebody to say, I'm not voting because they're going to do what they want to do anyway, is unconscionable to me. We must register, vote, and participate in the process. And voting does change things, and voting does make a difference. There are voter registration drives. You know, we work with Vision 25. We have voter registration drives throughout Greenville County every weekend, particularly in District 25. There'll be another one this Saturday on Stonebridge Road at Bethlehem United Methodist Church, right there on Stonebridge Road from 10 to 2. Certainly encourage people to come out and register to vote. I'm going to vote if I have to go in a hazmat suit. I don't care about the pandemic, anything else. I'm going. And also, people may forget, I do have opposition this year. One of my colleagues on county council decided he was going to find somebody to run against me. So I do have Republican opposition. So I don't want anybody to think that I don't have opposition. I always kid Chandra Dillard because she genuinely doesn't have any. But I need everybody to register and everybody to vote in District 25. And even if you don't live in 25, we've got to secure a better and brighter future for our children. You know, Jesus talks more about children than he does money or salvation. So in everything we do, we must think about that next generation depending on us to make better and brighter future for them, better than what we have. So everybody needs to go vote. And if a conversation you want to have about not voting and it don't matter and they're going to do what they want to do, that's a real conversation you're going to have with somebody else because it is not welcome here.
Wow. Well, I tell you, you've said a mouthful tonight, and I appreciate you for all that you continue to do for the community, for the county, just making a difference, just, making some noise, allowing your voice to be heard. So for someone that's watching tonight, and maybe they want to connect with you, find out more about your political campaign as to how they can support what you have going on, how can people connect with you?
It's real simple. You can go to our Facebook page, fantforcountycouncil.org, fantforcountycouncil.org. We got all the campaign information there, and we soliciting campaign contributions. These campaigns aren't free. I mean, they cost. Yeah. And so we're continuing to raise money. If it's $5, $10, $25, what anybody can give, we'd appreciate it. In fact, I put the campaign button on 2 pages. I put it on the first page and the last page. So we need all the help we can get, but we really appreciate everybody's support in District 25. We're grateful for the economic development that we've been able to bring to District 25, the number of jobs we've been able to create over the next 5 years, and that we've got a lot of momentum. Things are changing with regards to economic growth, reduction in crime, affordable housing. We got a lot going on, and we just want to continue that momentum as we move into next year. Absolutely. Well, it definitely shows, and people are talking about all the great things that are happening in District 25, and so we appreciate just the foundation of the support of what you're doing to be the voice for the people. So again, for this special edition of Political Chit Chat, honoring you tonight, Mr. Ennis Fant, for once again, an honor that you said that year after year you were doing this. Well, this year was your year. You had an opportunity to be selected. I know it's a little different being virtual, but listen, the honor still is there. And we honor you, of course, tonight for being chosen as a South Carolina delegate for the Democratic National Convention. Well, I want to take an opportunity to bring back on the live this evening our also meet the candidate, Mr. Stephen Dreyfus, because what I would like to do for both of you gentlemen, because again, this is a very, very important election season. And so I want to give you both an opportunity, and I'll start with you, Mr. Dreyfus, your final words of encouragement as it relates to really honing in for people to get registered to vote. I'm sure there's somebody watching that may not be registered, or maybe they are an inactive registered voter, or as Mr. Fant mentioned, that they just don't want to vote this time because they feel like they're going to do what they want to do. What would be your words of encouragement, Mr. Dreyfus, to get someone registered to vote?
Oh, that's a very good question. I was thinking of 7 or 10 issues I talk about. I only mentioned one, and the one I want to talk about relevant to your question is saving our democracy. I got a book here. I don't know if you can see the title, How Democracies Die. Most people don't realize it. Obama mentioned this. This is probably the most critical election in at least 100 years in this country. Our democracy is hanging by a thread. We're on the verge of a dictatorial tyrant or tyranny. Because our democracy is in peril, what can we do to save it? And the answer is save democracy by voting Democratic. The Republicans previously tried to get minority votes, and they failed. So their new strategy is to do an endgame around democracy by suppressing the vote, by preventing minorities from voting, by making it more and more difficult to vote, by discouraging people. Tell them, your vote won't count. Well, there's not a dime worth of difference between the Democrats and the Republicans. Oh, yes, we're bad and corrupt, but they're just as bad. That's false equivalency. Your voice matters. It needs to be heard. I would say one thing, vote now, because if you don't, you may not have another chance to vote later, and you'll regret it.
That's good. And you also mentioned there's a voter registration drive, too, coming up.
Yes. Ennis mentioned one. My understanding is at 10 a.m. on Thursday morning at the Antioch Church, from 10 to noon, there will be a voter registration drive, and I hope to be there and participate, because I believe that we can win if we just get enough people to register and vote. The great untapped source is people who haven't voted before. If they realize how important this election is, and they vote for democracy, they vote for honest government, they vote to end corruption, we'll win and we'll all benefit.
Absolutely. Well, Mr. Stephen Dreyfus has been our Meet the Candidate special guest this evening. Thank you again for your comments. So for someone, again, that maybe want to connect with you, how can they reach out to you, Mr. Dreyfus?
Just go to www.stephendreyfus.com.
Dreyfus. I've been saying Dreyfus. It's Dreyfus. Get it right. All right. We got
I got to tell you something funny. I got my...
So Mr. Fant, the ball's in your court as we're trickling down for your final words of encouragement for anyone that could be watching this evening. Maybe they're not registered to vote. Maybe they have been that person that have said, no, I'm going to sit out this vote. They're going to do what they want to do anyway. What would be your words of encouragement to that people really hone in and make sure they're registered this time?
Wow. The fact that, and Stephen made a great point, that the future of democracy hangs in the balance. It really does. And there has to be respect for the rule of law. We're seeing things now that we've never seen before, where the attorney general, who's supposed to represent all the people, is just walking lockstep with whatever the president says. It's scary. It really is scary. We have to register. We have to vote. Our children, I think about how our forefathers died and lost their lives for the right to vote. And the fact that we just ride by the voting place on election day and don't even stop, it is unconscionable. And the other thing is, people, and I know this for a fact, the majority, they look at the numbers. They look at who votes. So when you don't vote and your vote's not counted, they look at that you don't care. And when they see that you don't care, they act like you don't care. And they implement policies that negatively impact our community. It is imperative. We need to vote like this is the last opportunity we have to vote in our lifetimes, because another 4 years of what we have now, it should frighten everybody, because they're not about policies. I served with 10 of them, 10, and it is not about policy. It is not, Republicans talk about conservatism and they were hawkish on wars and all that kind of stuff. They could care less about that. And Stephen will agree. The Republican Party is no longer about policies, and policies different from the Democratic Party. The Republican Party has been relegated to a party of white greens. That's it. A group of people who like the good old days and who'd love to go back to it. That's why they wrap themselves in those flags. They walk around those long guns and militia and intimidating people. And that's not the America I live in, and that's not the America I want my children to live in. And we need to go vote like we don't like the direction that America is going, and we want to pave the way for a better and brighter future. And I look forward to seeing everybody at the polls on November 3rd, even if you have to go in a hazmat suit.
And so again, Mr. Fant, thank you again for your comments. How can people again connect with you? How can they contribute to your campaign and what you're doing to serve the people? www.fantforcountycouncil.org, fantforcountycouncil.org. We are campaigning now. We're getting out, meeting the folks, letting them know we do have opposition. A lot of people didn't think I have opposition. Yes, I do. And he's mean. So I want to really want to, to him come November 3rd, so he don't try this behind off the porch again, trying it. So I need everybody's support on November 3rd. All right. Well, listen, guys, for those of you that have tuned in for another exciting episode of Political Chit Chat right here on the Jazz Report, I'm looking forward to continuing to share this platform with a lot of the political candidates that are going to be coming across this platform to share with you their vision as well as their hopes for the people. But again, Mr. Stephen Dreyfus, thank you so much for your time. Best wishes to you for the South Carolina House Seat 20. Again, Mr. Councilman Ennis Fant, again, as you are seeking to be reelected once again for all the work that you're doing, and also the honor of being a delegate for South Carolina for the Democratic National Convention. How proud it is to see, especially someone that looks like me as well, to receive that honor. So I'm so proud of you guys. Thank you for the passion behind what you're doing to make a difference in our city, in our county, in our state, but most importantly, in the world. Yours truly, Miss Jazzy, guys. We're getting out of here for a special edition of Political Chit Chat.